Welcome to the Urban Wall Street Project. I'm your host, Christina A, and once again we have another dynamic show for you this morning. If you've been tuning into the Urban Wall Street Project in recent weeks, you know that our topics, or our theme I should say, is always maximizing the urban dollar and making ourselves wealthy as the country gets wealthy off of us. It's a real situation. Financial literacy is the key, as I said, maximizing the urban dollar. But with that also comes the need to address a lot of social and, different social and socio-economic issues that also afflict and plague urban America, and talk to people that are in industries and arenas that can hopefully shed some light and provide some direction for our youth and even our elder generation that may need it. Today I have an extremely dynamic young woman as a guest, and I'm happy to have her. She's thorough beyond belief, as you will see. She's a graduate of George Mason University. She holds an MBA. She's a recipient of the Earl Grey NAACP Award. She's the CEO and founder of Visions Entertainment. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce Miss Christina A. Tate to the world. Ms. Tate, hi.
Thank you.
Welcome to the Urban Wall Street Project. I'm happy to have you here.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
You're very welcome. As I had the opportunity to look over your bio and see what you're about, I was definitely impressed with it and wanted to have you on the show because you're doing so many things and have done so many things in the area of working with urban America and working with youth and trying to provide some direction and show them that there is other ways beside the ways that some of us only fake. So what I'd like to do is just give you an opportunity to just tell me a little bit about yourself and let the people in the city of New York know Ms. Christina A. Tate, who she is and why she shines the way she does.
First and foremost, I give honor to God, because if you have a higher power, if you have someone in something that you believe in, then you're accountable and you do things because there's a genuineness that's there. Right. You're not doing it just for the money. And I've had a lot of experiences with youth. I've had a lot of experiences with the elderly, and I found that in today's society, where my genuineness, where my realness, where my heart, my passion, and my giving comes out is when it deals with youth. Because youth are very vulnerable, especially in the African American community. And this is our generation. They are going to shape and form the future.
Definitely, definitely. And it's so important that you say that, and it's key because I tout the same sentiments and the same message weekly when we're talking to our people about you represent us. When I teach young individuals outside of here, I tutor, I'm a dean of a school, and I'm always talking to young individuals in our communities and letting them know, listen, you are the future. You might not see it now, but it's very important that you heed the words of your elders, even if sometimes you don't feel it might be to your benefit, because sometimes you might feel like the world is against you, and sometimes it may be. So it's very important that you be on point. But what I would like to talk about, your company, Visions Entertainment. Tell me a little bit about Visions Entertainment and what you see for that company and some of your ideals and goals and philosophies that you govern your business with.
Initially, Visions Entertainment started off just as an idea, a dream. It was just a mental concept. Unfortunately, because I did not have the mentoring or the nurturing from professors, from my community, it just stayed that. It was an idea in my head that never was placed on paper. And then I ended up going to business school. And once I was in business school, I had several projects where you had to pick a business that you actually wanted to start. And that's when I discovered my passion, in addition to the youth, my passion is in PR, marketing, business consulting, event planning. And so Visions Entertainment, it turned from a concept in my mind to putting it on paper using the knowledge that I gained from business school to constructing, I believe it was a 30-page business plan on actually starting my own business. And with that, I ended up acquiring clients, and I began to create business plans for other people, predominantly within the African American community, who said, I'm fed up, I've had enough of corporate America, I want to start my own business. And then also dealing with the youth. I had a lot of people that had come to me, educators, and I was a teacher myself. I taught in the juvenile jail and in the high school on and off for 2.5 years. And I had a lot of people that were in the education system that said, the schools are not doing their job, the government is not doing their job, so I want to do a spinoff and start my own school or start my own program or a transitional school. And so with that, I began to construct business plans for individuals to form schools and mentoring programs.
Excellent, excellent. And that's a beautiful thing. And like I said, so many things, as I read up in your information, it's kind of parallels the things that I do. And as we were talking, prior to, the show, we were talking about, what's lacking and what our kids are missing and why they don't perform as well and why they're not business owners. Even their parents are not business owners, and we try to understand the dynamic. We recognize that, we're just not being taught. And like I said, one of the key things we talk about is financial literacy. I talk about that every week, financial literacy, learn what it is. But we talk about financial literacy, and the reality is that we're not learning. Our generation, myself and yourself, we're not learning about true business acumen and how to really.
Because we're not being taught.
We're not being taught, as opposed to teaching it. And that's one of my issues with a lot of the schools. And people go to college, and I talk about this. I'm a graduate of Howard University, so I'm a staunch advocate of education. But I also have to recognize that college may not always be the proper option at a particular time.
True.
Not that education is not the key. Education is the key. But college might not be if you're 19 and you're not focused, it might not be where you want to be. You might want to be a business owner. You might want to know. I'm going to school with individuals who are successful. And they started with college, but they knew what they wanted to do. They might have come back to it, but sometimes you got to follow your passion.
Well, if I can interrupt you for 1 second.
Yes.
A lot of times, though, it's not that the passion isn't there and that the student doesn't want to learn. I say that a lot of it is the responsibility and fault of the instructors.
Definitely.
It's one, the school system, and two, the government. Because a lot of youth, they have a dream, but that dream is now deferred or that dream is dead because teachers, administration, faculty, they either, one, did not recognize that student had a dream, and so they didn't equip them with the tools they needed to have that, to make that dream be manifested, or two, I see a lot of, and I have seen and continue to see now, a lot of administrators where they pigeonhole select groups of students and they single them out and make them feel like you can't be because you are of a certain race or you're of a certain type. These are not options for you.
Right.
It's not possible for you to become a doctor. It's not possible for you to become a lawyer. And because of that, students feel isolated, and some feel like, well, my teacher said I can't do it, so I can't do it. Or this person said that my family doesn't have the money, so it's not an option for me.
Right. And that definitely happens a lot of times. I want to ask you, also, in conjunction with that, a lot of our young blacks and Latinos are going to prison at early ages because they're making wrong directions. And I know you've worked with youth who may have been incarcerated or come out of incarceration. And just in your experiences and enabling you to recognize the loopholes, I should say the loopholes, I should say the deficiencies of urban America and what needs to be addressed. Tell me a little bit about that program and that experience with working with individuals who may have made the wrong mistakes early on in life and how that affected you and how you affected them with what you brought. It
was very disturbing. My experience dealing with at-risk youth actually goes back probably 10 years ago when I was 21. I did some volunteer work where I would go into the inner city and do activities after school with the youth. So that was really my first exposure. But then later on, years back, I began teaching in the prison. And I remember students from ages 10 to 17, 18 that had maybe made the wrong decision because, one, they didn't have the support of their parents, and two, they didn't have the support of their teachers.
Right.
So it's almost like the decision was made for them. And because of that, they chose to make fast money.
Right.
They had a dream, but because they didn't have the proper instruction and tools, as I was saying earlier, they tried to make that dream happen too fast, too quick, and the wrong way.
Right.
So, and they just, fall into the trap. And they're a good child, they're a good student, they're a good person. Some of the kids, I remember when I was teaching them, I would grade their papers and they're making A's. And I thought something is wrong with this picture.
Right.
You have a student that's acing the assignment, but they're in prison.
Right.
So there's something missing here. And a lot of times I would find out from them that their parents didn't help them with their homework.
Right.
Or the parents just, they weren't there, they weren't nurturing them. The parents were not pushing them to excel. It was just, do the homework. I'm not going to help you. Do it on your own. If you want to go to college, it's up to you to do it on your own. So it's like the child is, there's a program, No Child Left Behind. These children were left behind before they even had the chance to become an adult.
Definitely.
And that set the course, or that's setting the course for them.
Definitely. And that's so real. My people at home, I'm hoping you're listening because we talk about this and you understand that as I talk to my young people that's out there, if you're at school right now, you know my show comes on in the morning, of course, but you can catch it early in the morning or catch it on another day. But it's very important that you recognize and understand the language that we're using, understand the dynamic that's going on in our community, because our children are losing. Our future is losing. You're losing not because you're a loser, just because you have not been properly prepared. You know, I've mentioned it before, there's the 5 P's. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. And it's very important that you recognize that and honor that in yourself. If you can, I want you to share, can you remember one particular story of maybe a young person who went down the wrong path that you work with, and they really heeded the words and they turned themselves around?
Yes, yes. There's one student, this was in the high school, not in the jail, and he came from a single parent home, and because his father was not in the picture, he had brothers and sisters, and when he should have been a child or a student, just doing his homework, you know, going to football games, basketball games, he had to work to help his mom, you know, make ends meet.
Right.
So because of that, his homework, you know, sometimes it was getting done, sometimes it wasn't, but it was very evident that he was a bright student, and if he had the time to devote to his work, you know, he could easily get a scholarship. So he was working, I don't know if it was 1 job or 2 jobs, but he was basically the man of the house,
right,
which was very unfair.
Right.
So sometimes he would come in and, you know, he was falling asleep. He'd have to do his homework. And something that I always did with youth, not in front of other students, but maybe after the class period ended, I would always pull them aside, one-on-one, or maybe during lunch, and just have a one-on-one with them and let them know, I do care. You know, I may only be your teacher. I may only have you for this hour period, but I see a future.
Right.
You know, I see promise in you. You're very intelligent, and that's another thing. As parents and educators, we often tell a child what they do wrong, but we don't emphasize what they do right.
Right.
You know, and we don't let them know you can be somebody. You are intelligent. We don't boost them up enough, and that's why a lot of them have such low self-esteem. And so I identified in him the positive things that I saw, and I let him know, and that kind of surprised him, because I had told him things that his mother never even told him.
Right.
You know, I told him that he was intelligent, and this is not something I'm making up. It's genuine. And so with that, I took a personal interest in him, and I asked him what was going on at home. You know, and once he let me know, then I said, okay, let me make concessions where I understand you're tired, you're working another job. I'll help you. If I have to stay after school, or if I have to give up my lunch break, you come in here, I'll help you with your homework. I won't do it for you, but I will assist you. And just doing things like that, mentoring him and, you know, checking in on him. I'd see him in the hallway. Is everything okay at home? Do you need help with other things? And he saw that someone cared. And so that boosted his self-esteem, and he ended up writing me a letter after he left and transferred that to another school. And he wrote me a letter and said, Miss Tate, because you cared so much, I took the initiative to put things in place and do what I needed to do, and I can now play sports where my grades had dropped so low I couldn't play sports.
Wow. And that's an amazing thing. So it's very important, and my young brothers and sisters out there watching, and my elder brothers and sisters, you have to be that beacon that you want to see in your child. You have to be that inspiration. You have to be a motivating force. Do not only leave it up to the educational system or our politicians, individuals that do not really know your child exists for their future to be well at hand. Ms. Tate, you've done some amazing things. You're dynamic, and I don't want to just pigeonhole you into just your work with the youth, because you've done so much. And we've all, as urban American, African Americans, we've risen through a lot of adversities. I mean, you've done a lot of things. You've represented and ran FEMA, as you told me earlier, in Virginia. Like I said, you've accomplished with the NAACP Earl Graves Award. You've written your own company right now. You do PR and marketing for L'Oreal. You're a dynamic woman. So tell me, from your opinion, since you're a Renaissance woman and an entrepreneur, because the Urban Wall Street Project is just about that, building and breeding entrepreneurial minds. Tell me why being an entrepreneur was important to you, and why you feel it's important for urban America to start learning at an early age the business of business.
It's a necessity. It's a necessity. It's one thing when you're working for someone else and you're helping them to make money. It's another thing when other people are working for you and they're helping to make you money. And something that I say I'm going to do in the next, let's say, two to 3 years, I would like to eventually transition out of corporate America altogether and be a full-time business owner. One, you can take vacations when you want to.
Right.
You can go to lunch when you want to.
That's always good.
You know, you don't have to answer. Not that there's anything wrong with accountability, but when you are the boss, you call the shots.
Definitely.
You know, and there's power in that.
Definitely.
You know, and there's flexibility in that. And then also, once you have attained ownership of a business, because you've climbed through the ranks, you've climbed up the rungs of the ladder, you know what it takes. And because of that, that puts you in the prime position to be a mentor to others and to raise up others within your community, others within your family, others within the African American community, Hispanic community, and to breed a new generation, you know, and to prepare them and equip them to be business owners as well.
Definitely.
And that is my target and goal with Visions.
And you know, it's amazing. There's so many parallels because I actually did a show, and the topic was ownership, and that's the word is key. Ownership is key. If you don't own it, then it owns you. So it's very important that you understand that whether or not you're in the positions, I don't have a lot of money, I don't have a lot of knowledge, start surrounding yourself with people that have the knowledge or have something to gain and to give. You know, everything needs to be mutual, and that's a beautiful thing. Now, you're relatively new to New York City,
yes.
right? What brought you to New York City, and what do you like about this high-paced city? Because I know it's a high-paced city because you're from Virginia, correct?
Yes.
So tell me about the transition.
Don't sleep on Virginia, though.
I would never sleep on Virginia. There's a lot of amazing things coming out of Virginia. Who one of my favorite producers.
A lot of New Yorkers going back to Virginia.
Sure that. But tell me about what is it been like to be a businesswoman in the city of New York for you?
And the saying goes, if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere.
Right, for sure.
And it's true. New York affords you so many more opportunities that you don't get in the South, or and even some other larger cities.
Keyword.
Everything is here, whether your industry and passion is in the arts, entertainment, fashion, Wall Street, finance, investment banking. New York has everything. Everything is here.
Definitely. So you know what? I'm just sitting here with so many different questions in my mind. Like you have so many parallels. But I know you also possess the passion and of a legal mind, a legal ego. That's also something that you wanna endeavor in and accomplish. Tell me about your goal once you become a lawyer. What do you see yourself making happen with that law degree?
Entertainment law.
Entertainment law.
Contract negotiations.
Contract negotiations. Listen to that. All my young brothers and sisters that want to be rappers and you want to be singers and you want to get it done.
The money is behind the scenes.
Sure, the money is behind the scenes. And if your black and white's not right, your green's not going to be right. Very for sure, you know that.
Your green will be red.
Your green will be red, which is never a good thing.
Yeah.
It's never a good thing. Wow. As I'm sitting here thinking about different programs you've had, I've created a program because it's all about maximizing the urban dollar and just showing urban America how to become wealthy. I've showed different examples of how how we waste money, and people look at so many of our communities as poor communities, but our communities, we spend, the Latino and African Americans alone spend $1.2 trillion a year, and a good 80% of that is on depreciable goods. So we're not owning, we're buying, but only as consumers. And in a field, since you're in corporate America, in corporate America, listen, we don't denounce corporate America. Corporate America has helped a lot of people turn that linear income into residual and passive income, as we talk about, and that's what it's about. But for young individuals who might not want to be business owners yet, or they don't know if they possess the knack to be a business owner, what advice would you give them? People who I just want to wear a shirt and tie, I want a suit job, I want to be in corporate America. What advice would you give young people who are interested in delving into the corporate arena?
Be wise. Save. Saving is key. And like you said before, we waste so much money. And with that money, you could get into investing. I'm just now learning. I'm 31. I've just started learning the past few years about investment clubs. I read an article, I don't know if it was in Black Enterprise or Ebony. There was a young boy in his teens, and he started investing and started an investment club, and I think he made his first million by, I don't know if you read the story. Was it 2021?
Yeah, like 2021 he was a millionaire. So
yeah, and he got people backing him and supporting him.
Right. And that's real. And that's what we're talking about. It's just about educating yourself, learning, familiarizing yourself with the language. We've talked about on here, what is capital, what's an asset, what's a liability, what's a mutual fund, what's an IRA, what is residual income, what's passive income, what's the difference, understanding the nature of your money. And that's what it's about. Because people in corporate America, some of them make a lot of money linearly, but the ones who really make it, they're making it on the residual and passive. And if you don't know what that is, residual, do something one, get paid over and over. Passive, do no work, get a check. There is some work that's involved, but you have to understand the dynamic. If that was too fast for you, take some time out, go look it up in the dictionary, get online.
Get a Black Enterprise magazine.
Get a Black Enterprise magazine for sure, because if you get a Black Enterprise magazine, you will start to become familiar with the language and the, how should I say, the movements necessary to start maneuvering through this thing we call life and put yourself in a more capitalizing position. Ms. Tate, if you had one thing that you could say to urban America, the youth, and specifically our children between the ages of 18 and 22. The reason I say 18 to 22 because myself, I was in college at that time. And at 18 to 22, most kids are in college. If you're going right out of high school, between the 18, 22, 23, you're in college. But some people don't go. You know, they don't. I don't know if I want to go to college yet. I want to work. I want to do something. What one piece of advice, if you could give, and we could probably give 2 or 3 pieces of advice, but if you had to put it into a nutshell, what would be the one thing you would want that 18 to 22 demographic to know? And their parents. Because it's important. See, their parents might be home watching right now, and they can share and spread the word because that's what the elders do. Generations have to teach and pass the word down. So if you can share something on urban households that could be beneficial to everyone, what piece of advice would you give?
Without even hesitation, I would say follow, as a youth or as a young adult, follow your dream. Once you identify what that dream is, whether it's a business owner, whether it's a teacher, dentist, whatever it is, follow that dream and do your homework. Do your research. It's not going to happen overnight. You're not going to make quick money. But if you do your research and you take the steps necessary to make it happen, it will happen. And as Earl had said, college it's an option, but it's not necessary. It's not necessarily an option for everyone. And I would say parents, if you recognize that your child has a dream and a passion for something and they're gifted and talented in that area, don't force them to go in another direction. You know, support them, give them all the support necessary, whether it's if they want to be an artist, put them in art school, you know, help pay for art lessons. If it's dancing, you know, help put them in dance classes.
Definitely.
You know, that will do more for them in the long run than you paying money, investing money in your dream versus that child's dream.
Exactly, and I'm so key you said that, and I'm so appreciative because a lot of times parents, you know, we follow the old adage, oh, go to college, get a job, and everything will be good. And that may have worked, you know, 40, 50 years ago. That was pretty much it. You go to school so you can feed your family. But the dynamics of life have changed so dramatically. There's so many different opportunities that we can get involved in.
Sure.
And like I said, for sure, I'm an advocate of school. And my younger brother, we go to school. But I also learned that school might not be what I want to do. I mean, I went to school for television film production. It's 13 years later that I'm doing this. I mean, I've done things in the middle. But we learn a lot more about who you are. I think I'm more of a speaker and a motivator than a producer. You know what I'm saying? But you tie the two together and you make it happen. And that's just an amazing thing. So, you know, I'm just so happy that you were here. Now, I guess one of the last things I just want to touch on is corporate America. You know, I haven't been in corporate America, and I'm only going to ask one quick question. If you can give my audience, because I'm no longer in corporate America, you know, I've done the thing. One pro, one con.
Just one?
Oh, you know what? Since you probably have more than one, I'll give you 3 pros if you have 3 cons. Do you have them?
Sure.
Okay, 3 pros and 3 cons.
Okay, I'll start with the pros.
So if you're listening, you're thinking about getting in the 9 to 5, want to get a job, or want to get the students high, want to work in Manhattan, pay attention.
Corporate America, it's structured. There are benefits that you get that come more readily available to you as far as health insurance, you know, the vacation time, paid vacation time, things like that that you might not necessarily get working for yourself. And 3, there's a network surrounding you within that industry. And you can have mentors. You can learn so much because you're constantly surrounded, 9 to 5, 9 to 6, whatever your hours are. You're surrounded by others in your field where you can grow and learn from them.
Okay. All right. So now give me one, since the time moves so fast when you're on TV and I could talk to you forever. Give me one major, I guess, con. Or what did you give me the con?
I gave you the
Give me the pro. So give me one con.
corporate America. Lack of flexibility. You don't own yourself, and you don't own your time.
Lack of flexibility.
Goes back to ownership.
Ownership. Once again, you don't own your time. You don't own yourself. Those 8 hours belong to somebody else. Listen.
Or 9 or 10.
We've been talking
hours.
about some amazing things. My guest has been Miss Christina Tate. She's a dynamic woman. I hope you learned something. I hope you appreciate the value in the conversation. Once again, you know who I am. I'm Mr. Earl Christian III. I'm your host of the Urban Wall Street Project. I'll keep bringing you dynamics. I'll keep bringing you the truth. I'll keep bringing you real TV and real people that can help you. I hope you've enjoyed this segment. Keep your head up. See you next time. Peace.